What if you could learn to eat and fast to reverse any health condition? That's right. A lot of times we always think that we can do all these different remedies around supplements, herbal remedies, teas, maybe even certain foods, right? Which are all great, even exercise. But something as simple and cost effective as fasting can actually get you the results as well, and sometimes even faster, no pun intended, because it's actually helping you clean out the body. If you are new to this channel, my name is Troy Royce. I'm an integrative medicine practitioner and naturopath trained in several different disciplines, including functional breathing, functional medicine, and brain health. And we're going to dig into how you can leverage fasting to reverse things like Hashimoto's, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, type 2 diabetes, and even chronic fatigue. So, I'm excited to dig into this with you. Let's get started and go through how and when you can fast to regain back your health. Also, I want to comment here that we have put in consideration too around hormone cycles for women, because that absolutely matters. And we dedicated a lot of training to that last week, and we heard tremendous feedback, and that's why I'm doing another dive at a different angle this week. So here we go. So what I want to call out first before we dig into any of the fasting regimens is what is the top of the hormone hierarchy, okay? So I'm going to show a graphic here, but one hormone specifically trumps them all, and that is oxytocin, okay? And so if you've heard of oxytocin, you probably relate it to the feel-good feeling, like when you give somebody a hug or you have love and affection, right? Or even it can be stimulated through exercise, walking, and things like that. And so get more oxytocin in your life if you definitely want to be at the top of the hormone hierarchy, controlling many of these levels, right? Including cortisol, which we've talked about many times, that can steal everything, especially progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, okay? And then insulin below that, and then you can see the steroidal or sex hormones of progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. So get tons of oxytocin to jumpstart that process. All right. Also, we talked a little bit about this last week, but I want to touch about this here, which is this graphic on your hormone cycles and a training that's actually been put into the Fast Like a Girl book by Dr. Mindy Pelz. Again, I mentioned her last week. Awesome doctor to learn from, awesome channel on YouTube to learn from. And a lot of what we talk about today is going to be related to her book, Fast Like a Girl. And that's why I'm building all this in around hormone cycles. But there'll be some other added benefits in there too, including some recommendations that I've seen firsthand with our clients in our practice here around heavy metal detoxes, functional medicine detoxes, insulin resistance protocols, and reversing chronic stress. So I want to call out this graphic because it's important to normalize your fasting, or customize, I should say, your fasting schedule around your hormone cycle, right? Your days 1 through 10, 11 through 15, 16 through 19, and days 20 to bleed. If you're a woman that has not experiencing your periods anymore, or you're in menopause, you still have hormone cycles, right? So it's important to consider this and use your best guess assumption around that and work with your body, including all these different phases that Dr. Pelz talks through, including the power phase, the manifestation phase, and the nurture phase, all centered around when estrogen is high in the beginning of the follicular phase, and then when progesterone kicks in the luteal phase, okay? So I just want to talk through that very briefly. This graphic will be in this guide just for you to access later, okay? But let's dig in. Okay, here we go. Fasting to reverse autoimmune conditions. And so most importantly to get here, and I'm going to call out two things every training or every fasting regimen that you should consider as you're going through this, okay? And so one thing I want to call out here is most autoimmune conditions happen because of toxins in the body built up or gut imbalances, okay? So perhaps leaky gut, SIBO, H. pylori, parasites, and things like that, okay? And so those are often at the root causes of rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, lupus, Epstein-Barr virus, PCOS, Raynaud's syndrome, okay? So these are just to name a few. And so two things on this one: gut reset, which I've talked about, which you can do in a 24-hour fast, okay? Autophagy, which is cellular cleanup. Autophagy means self-eating, where your body goes in and it basically cleans out senolytic cells, dead cells, cancer cells, and it does a self-eating cleansing process, getting rid of those cells from the body, self-eating them, and then gives room for new generated cells, okay? So other considerations linked here on this one is a gut protocol, which is a 3-month protocol that helps you go in and clear out all the gut irritations, gut imbalances, overgrowth in the body. And month 2, you go in and you put the good back in the gut. And then month 3 is a heal and seal, where you seal up that gut wall. Okay, so that's a consideration as well. But as far as fasting goes, here we go. Day 1 through 5, 17 hours of autophagy fasting. Okay. Many people can reach different, hour ranges for autophagy. So a lot of times you'll see online like 17 hours. Yes, there are a lot of studies done around that 17-hour window, but I would tell you that you can fluctuate. Depends on your body. It could be 16, 16 and a half, 17, could be 18. So let's start with 17 in this case, okay? Day 6 and 7, 24-hour gut reset fast. Day 8 through 10, 17-hour autophagy. Day 11 through 15, 15-hour intermittent fasting. Day 16 to 17, 24-hour gut reset. 18 to 19, 17-hour again. And then day 20 to bleed, 13 hours of intermittent fasting, okay? I've done a ton of videos on fasting. So if you're like, well, how do you get started with fasting? Like maybe you don't fast at all today. You don't fast between meals. You don't fast from dinner to breakfast. Like it's very new to you. That's great. I've done a ton of videos on this. I would encourage you to go check that out. Go to the channel, just type in the search fasting, and you'll find I've done a video on basics of fasting, where you can just start by fasting for a few hours all the way up to where you want to be with, 14, 15, 17, 24. Okay? So consider that as we go through this process. Fasting to reverse thyroid issues. So we talked a little bit about Hashimoto's in the beginning, but what's important to call out here is anything related to the thyroid is often related to several different functions in the body, okay? And that includes your liver health, your metabolism health, your mitochondrial health, okay? And so a lot of times when we take clients through a thyroid protocol, we're focused on all the intricate organs that are connected, and we'll focus on that here. And so one of the best things you can do for your thyroid is a functional medicine detox, right? Because you are actually cleaning out your detox organs, your liver, your pancreas, your kidney, okay? That's why that matters. And then we'll also consider a rebalancing mitochondrial protocol, where we get you to do some metabolic switching to re-engage the mitochondria and give you an energy boost, okay? So we have a boosting what's called AMPK, which is a process in the body that helps with ATP and the mitochondria. And then we also provide like mitochondrial boosting foods. And so that's key here. But one of the biggest considerations, again, is a functional medicine detox to jumpstart that process. So what does it look like, right? Your fasting approach is, again, day 1 through 5, 15 hours of intermittent fasting. Day 6 through 8, 17 hours of autophagy fasting. Day 9, 10, 24 hours of a gut reset. Again, your gut plays a role here too. Day 11 to 15, 15 hours of intermittent. Day 16 to 19, 17 hours of autophagy. And day 20 to bleed, 13 hours. Okay, so very similar from the first. Let's jump into fasting for brain health. And when I talk about brain health, I'm talking about signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, mild cognitive impairment, memory loss, okay? Like you walk into a room and you forget what you were gonna do, or you forget your keys. Like those are signs of mild cognitive impairment, okay? And so these are things that we can focus on, but what's often correlated and a root cause to brain-related dysfunctions is insulin resistance and heavy metal toxicity. And you've probably heard like Alzheimer's is also referred to as diabetes of the brain, okay? So two things, right? Normalizing your insulin levels, and number 2, detoxing the body of heavy metals. There's been several studies linked to heavy metal toxicity built up in the body and how that's related to poor brain health, okay? So One consideration here is we often take clients through an 8-week heavy metal detox, which will go in and it will target heavy metals in the body and release them through your detox pathways. And that includes things like mercury, aluminum, lead, cadmium, and a few others, okay? Maybe even arsenic. So consider that. Here's your fasting approach. Day 1 through 5, 17 hours of autophagy fasting. You can see a trend here, right? During those follicular phase, estrogen boosting phase of your hormone cycle is when you want to do the most fasting. It's working with your body, okay? You also feel like more energized during those periods as well, okay? Day 6 through 7, 48-hour dopamine fasting. I mean, who can't use that these days? Hey, think about how many times that you are constantly dinged, buzzed related to your phone, distractions, trying to multitask, like so many angles of dopamine. Like we just need a little bit of a dopamine reset. I've actually had several clients that I've recommended a forest bathing or nature walk remedy, and they just felt amazing, right? Just take that moment to do a dopamine reset, but you can also do it through fasting and do that with a 48-hour fasting. One thing I want to call out here is if you are doing a 24-hour or extended fast, I highly encourage you to work with a practitioner so that you know what you're doing. You're including water, electrolytes, teas, and things like that. And I've even recommended doing vitamin and mineral shakes, which don't break the fast, but give you the vitamins and minerals you need throughout the fast. And you can even continue to take things like vitamin B and magnesium and zinc, omega-3s and things like that during a fast. So when we're talking about fasting, I just wanted to say that because I don't want you to think 24-hour, 48-hour dry fast. You can absolutely do that. I would encourage you to highly work with a practitioner if you're doing that, and for a water fast or a vitamin mineral fast. So if you're curious about those, check out my videos, like I said, but also feel like reach out and I would love to work with you, okay? So to keep going, 8 through 10, your 15-hour intermittent fast. Day 11 through 15, 13-hour intermittent fast. Day 16 through 19, 17-hour fast, which is the autophagy range, and then day 20 to bleed, 13 hours, okay? Next, fasting to reverse type 2 diabetes, okay? The correlated root cause for that, again, insulin resistance, right? And when I say insulin resistance, I mean that your pancreas releases insulin in a perfect world to drive glucose into your cells to be used as energy for later, okay? Insulin resistance means that there is so much built up glucose, free-flowing glucose, and no room to drive glucose into the cell, and therefore insulin is just free-flowing in the body, or even worse, you're at a point where your pancreas doesn't even know signaling anymore when to stop, and it's constantly releasing that, okay? And that's not a place you want to be. So the great thing is you can use several remedies, and so I want to talk those two things, right? And those two things are normalizing blood sugar and normalizing insulin levels. So what can you do? Functional medicine detox is amazing for this. 7-day, 14, 21 day, really just to learn a lot about your body, reset those levels. I've also linked up an insulin resistance protocol guide that we take our clients through that I've seen amazing results in getting back those levels and resetting not only your insulin, but really reversing your type 2 diabetes, okay? So here is the fasting approach. Day 1 through 5, 13 hours of intermittent fasting. Day 6 through 10, 15 hours of intermittent fasting. Day 11 through 15, 13 hours of intermittent fasting. Day 16, 17 hours autophagy. Day 17 to 19, 13 hours, and day 20 to bleed. We're saying no fasting here. The reason is we are letting your body work with the progesterone cycle and recovery. And so you definitely want to make sure that you are eating the right insulin balancing foods. So you're not going to eat a lot of high starchy carb foods during this phase if you're focused on type 2 diabetes reversal, right? So you're going to do a diet that's very ketogenic based. I'd say a healthy ketogenic, right? A Mediterranean style diet, limiting maybe a lot of the carbs. I mean, I wouldn't eliminate all of them, but some of them that are potentially leading to higher glucose, just so that you can regulate your body back down. Okay, so there's an importance to that. And so to pay attention to that as well. All right, last one. Fasting to reverse chronic fatigue, okay? So again, most correlated root causes for chronic fatigue is depleted cellular mitochondrial levels, which are your powerhouse of your cells, basically what runs everything in your body, right? Your energy levels in the body. It's often associated with adrenal fatigue. Your adrenals sit right here below your left and right rib. They modulate your stress. So adrenal fatigue really means that you've been running at high cortisol levels, high stress levels, and your adrenals are just tapped out because there's no on-off switch for your adrenal glands, okay? When you are in a sympathetic nervous system state and you tap into cortisol because you are highly stressed all day long, you are putting so much stress on your adrenal glands and it's fatiguing them out. What's really important to call out here too is women, a lot of the estrogen is produced in the ovaries, right? But when your ovaries, as you age, are no longer producing estrogen or producing minimal estrogen, then it looks to your fat tissues and your adrenal glands for the estrogen production. So if your adrenal glands are completely tapped out, just think of how that plays a role in dysregulated estrogen levels in the body. And that's how important it is to get that under control. So 2 things here. Avoiding inflammatory oils. You're talking seed oils, vegetable oils, canola oils, grapeseed oil even. And I actually have a anti-inflammatory protocol guide that I could even provide you. Just reach out and it'll show you all the different food groups of things to avoid, not just oils, but refined sugars and those types of things. Even certain nightshades if you're focusing on an anti-inflammatory diet, at least for 21 days, okay? And so you want to avoid those oils and then ultra-processed foods, right? Foods that are often found in the middle of the grocery store, those packaged goods, highly refined sugars, synthetic chemicals that we don't even know how to pronounce, right? Definitely avoid those. And then you want to detox the body of toxins as well here, okay? And so what can you do about that? Functional medicine detox, again, amazing experience. 7, 14, 21 days, really clean out the body. And then I've also linked up an overcoming chronic stress guide that I have personally used and seen benefit from myself as I went down that phase of chronic stress for myself. So I've reversed it through this exact protocol and I'm sharing it with clients and they're seeing success. And I want to give that to you. So that's linked here too. So what can you do for fasting? Day 1 through 3, 13 hours of intermittent fasting. Day 4 through 6, 15 hours. Day 7, 17 hours of autophagy fasting. Day 8 and 9, 15 hours. Day 10 through 15, 13 hours. Day 16 through 19, 15. And day 20 to bleed. No fasting. Again, very similar here. You've focused on recovery. When I talk about intermittent fasting, and I know I've encouraged you to go check out those fasting videos, what we're really referring to here is what could you set up as your time window from the time you eat dinner to the time that you eat breakfast the next day, or mid-morning, or even lunch of your first meal. Depends on your schedule, what works for you. And I imagine that you're testing, or hope I encourage you to work with a practitioner. But let's say you stop eating at 6 and then you don't eat again until 8 a.m. the next day. That's 14 hours, right? Do you see how I came up with that? And even for a 24-hour window fast, like some people are like, oh man, I had to go all day not eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Not exactly. What if you ate dinner, like say 6 p.m., right? And then you didn't eat again until 6 p.m. the next day. That's 24 hours. So in other words, you're eating dinner on Sunday night, and then maybe you're doing water, lemon, electrolytes, teas, maybe even nutritional shakes with vitamins and minerals from a good source company, and you do a shake in the morning or a shake in the afternoon, and then you don't eat any food until 6 p.m. at dinner Monday night. That's a 24-hour fast, right? And if you did it all again, you just would maybe not consider eating on Monday night. You would just do a shake, or again, the water, the tea, and stuff like that, the herbal teas, and then go around, and then Tuesday night you eat for the first time. That's 48 hours, right? So I just want to give you an example, but I do want to encourage you to check out those fasting videos about that. And then as we end all trainings, what we do here is we specialize in building a customized plan that we call a personalized wellness suit. And I'm going to show it here. That's around foundational pillars that allows you to build a lifestyle of change that's transformative, that you can live in the rest of your life, okay? So we talk about the diet or the nutrition plan that you best suits you and that loves you back, okay? Exercise, stress, toxins, recovery, emotions, sleep, and then supplements if needed for rebalancing the body. And we walk people through a journey of where they're currently at to their new you that we call their wellness suit. And then we customize a plan that they can live in the rest of their life. And we're excited to give people that because a lot of times it's always about a quick fix, right? What can I take to lose weight? What can I take to reverse this? Supplements or medications will give you that great feeling instantly, but not long term. Like that is the game that we don't want to play in. And that's why we built this wellness suit model to help people figure out what that looks like to them. So I'd encourage you to reach out if you're ready for that process. Okay. And as always, additional guides and resources, including functional medicine labs, if you want to get tested for any of those conditions that we talked about today. Okay. So thanks for enjoying this training. I appreciate everybody that's give a tremendous feedback around these trainings that they love, and I can't wait to continue this process. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week.